June Edward is an award-winning author, a psychic medium and relationship coach whose work bridges the worlds of spirituality, energy, and everyday love. She has been psychic since childhood, later discovering her gifts as a medium after a near-death experience at age 27, an event that deeply shaped her understanding of life after life and the soul's journey. Drawing on decades of work with angels, guides, departed loved ones, and the Akashic Records, Jean created a 7-week relationship mastery program, which has helped hundreds of people transform their relationships by learning the 5 love lessons our souls come here to master. Her latest book, All's Fair in Love and Karma, distills those teachings into a practical, spiritual roadmap for self-worth, unconditional love, and energetic alignment in relationships. Through her soul group readings, private work, and teaching, Jean's mission is to help people heal on both sides of the veil, raise their vibration, and become conscious creators of the love they experience in this lifetime. Gosh, you're very busy. There's a lot there. There's so much I want to unpack. So if you forgive me for just diving straight into it, that's okay. I think you describe being psychic from childhood, then having your abilities come back 1,000 times stronger after learning to meditate. Could you share the moment when you first realized this wasn't just intuition, but a very different, a very powerful kind of gift?
So, I think a lot of children are born with a lot more ability than we give them credit for. Everyone has ability. Some people have more than others. And as you get older, you learn fear. We're not born with fear. Okay. And fear is what your brain literally does to protect you. It creates fear. And my first memory was about the age of 3. I heard people calling my name. I thought it was my parents and they were asleep. I go back into my bedroom and I start seeing faces all around my room. And from that point on, I started seeing people that other people didn't see. And as a child, you don't know.
Yeah.
You just don't know. And when I was 10, there was a woman that would come and visit me in the kitchen and keep me company while I did dishes. And I would talk to her, and she was in her 40s. And one day I asked my brother who she was. And I don't know if he saw her or not, because everybody in the family has a lot of ability. But he started laughing at me and told me that she was the woman that was killed in the house. Her husband murdered her and threw her down the stairs. And it scared me so much that she never came back. And I continued to try to block my abilities from there. But I had an older sister that was 10 years older, and we were very close and on the same psychic thread. And every time I'd try to call her, she would try to call me, and this would go on for hours. Finally one of us would put the phone down and the other one would put the phone down. Then we're like, oh, nobody's calling. So eventually somebody would get through and be like, you've been trying to call me for 2 hours. Yep, same thing. So thoughts are things. Where your thoughts go, your energy flows. But again, I tried to block it out of fear. And then I literally died at the age of 27. I never heard the term near-death experience until probably about 5 years ago when I was doing research for a TED Talk. I never considered it that because I literally died. I went to heaven. I had a full life review. I was told it was not my time. I could stay if I wanted to, or I could come back. It was literally an out that I had written into my life path. And I chose to come back for my children. And you would think that that would be the time that, ooh, everything opens up, but I still had fear. I had curiosity at that point, and I started going on haunted vacations. And sure enough, my abilities started opening back up again just out of being curious. And I was able to see energy again and start to see ghosts a little bit and hear them. And I was getting very curious. But it wasn't until I literally meditated, because when you meditate, you get in touch with your soul. And people think that's just, inside your body, because we're not the suit that sits here. We are the soul that's inside. But your soul is way too big for this body. Some of it's inside your body, some of it's over your body that people can see, and they call it an aura. And the largest portion of your soul is literally in the lowest level of heaven, that 5th dimension. And it has all the knowledge of all your lifetimes, and it orchestrates the timing of the events in this lifetime. So when you meditate and you learn how to get in touch with your soul, you're getting in touch with that part of your soul that's in the higher dimension. And that's what happened to me as soon as I started to meditate. I got in touch with that part of my soul. And it was like they kicked the door into the other side again. She's ready. And I could not turn it off. And it's crazy when you can't turn it off. Everyone you meet, you know everything there is to know about them. You start seeing, souls everywhere. I see ghosts everywhere. And if I was going crazy because this was like when I was a kid again and I didn't know how to turn it off and stop it. And it's the old adage, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And the universe sent me two wonderful teachers just to teach me how to control my abilities, how to turn it on, how to turn it off, who I'm working with the other side, those types of things. And then, from there, the other side took over with my education. And it's just been a crazy ride.
Wow. And do you think that is the sort of overwhelming nature of voices and images and feelings and sensations? Do you think that's one of the reasons that a lot of us, even people that have ability, sort of push back or sort of try and close themselves off to it?
People go crazy. They self-medicate. They get into alcohol, drugs. People tell them they're schizophrenic or they're crazy. And that is not the case with a lot of people. If you have not gotten yourself involved into drugs or alcohol or not, I can guarantee you're not crazy or schizophrenic. What you're seeing is real. What you're hearing is real. Angels are real. All these things are real. And, growing up, I was exposed to a lot of religions. I never conformed to any of them. If I had to go to the hospital, they ask for your religion. I just put spiritual. I didn't realize they were spiritualist religions. I had no idea at that point in time. And I used to think, my boyfriend's mother had the Mother Mary in the bathtub in the backyard of the, to pray to. And I used to think this stuff was nuts, right? Well, no, they are absolutely all real. They're ascended masters. They will come and talk to you at any time. Jesus is an ascended master. I've spoken to him many times. All you have to do is call on him and ask for him, and he shows up. It's interesting because I've been exposed again to a lot of religions. I had a sister that was Hindu, and Christians are taught that I guess they have to follow Jesus to go to heaven, that type of stuff. Well, I volunteer for what's called NODA. It's a worldwide nonprofit called No One Dies Alone. And it's for people that are literally dying and don't have family, or their family can't get to them. And so I will go sit with these people that are dying. And although they're heavily medicated or they're in a coma, I can still converse with them psychically. And it's funny how many of them, even though Archangel Michael is in the room every single time because he brings you to the other side, they'll have family members with them from the other side. But every now and then I get one that will tell me that they can't go until Jesus shows up. So I'm like, okay, let's get him. And we call him. And he's there in seconds. And sure enough, they'll pass right there and go with him. So it's interesting.
It's fascinating you say that, because that isn't the traditional, or not traditional, that isn't the typical Western pattern of death, really, is it? So my dad died last April, and I was sort of sat by his hospital bed. He's in intensive care. He'd been only pulled it for a couple of weeks, and the doctor sort of said, "Look, he's not going to get better. He's going to turn the machines off, and he's going to pass away." And he did, and I could literally, without looking at the machines or anything, tell a moment when his soul decided to, she says, sort of connect to move back to that, was it fifth dimension? Move away. I could tell when he sort of left the body and when he died, etc. But it was a very positive experience, in so much as he was in pain and the pain was no longer there. But it's still a sort of overwhelming sadness that somebody had died. Whereas in your,
it's hard on us.
Whereas in the words you use very powerfully make it feel much more of a celebration. Does that make sense?
It is, and it should be. And I've had friends that their parents were older and they're like, "Don't die, Mom, don't die." And the poor thing is, almost 100 years old in a wheelchair and a lot of pain. And it's like, let her go. My God, it's like telling your relatives you don't want them to live their life in Disney World. It's, it's amazing on the other side. It truly is. And I'm sorry to tell you they don't miss you like you miss them, because they can still see you. As soon as you say their name, they show up. It's crazy. When you think of quantum physics and the speed of light, okay, it's about 300 million miles a second. That's the minimum that we move. That's how fast I went to heaven. That's how fast I came back into my body. And that's how fast they move around the world, around anywhere they want to go, worlds. Okay. And that's why, as soon as you say their name, I mean, a lot of times they're busy doing things. Quite honestly, they live vicariously through us. So if your father liked to fish, he's probably on a fishing boat somewhere watching some guy bring in a big tuna and egging him on. But he hears you calling and he'll show up. It's amazing how they do that. It's absolutely incredible. And it's tough on us because we miss them. But I can tell you, if you're stuck in grief, okay, they're going to be stuck in grief on the other side because they live vicariously through us. They used to say, set another plate at the table and they'll show up and enjoy your dinner with you. And they absolutely will. Absolutely will. And they, even though they can't taste and they can't smell on the other side, they have memories. So they'll be like, oh, I remember what that turkey tastes like. I remember what that prime rib tastes like. Oh, she was such a great cook. And they'll enjoy that experience with you. They will be there with you. Once you start to get sensitive to how energy works and you start getting out of your brain and connecting with your soul, you can feel them. You can see them. You can hear them. It's absolutely incredible.
What persuaded you to write the book All's Fair in Love and Karma? Your incredibly busy life as it is, writing a book is no picnic. What was it that
So that was actually my fourth book. The first book I wrote, I was writing my autobiography, and I just kept hearing, and I was teaching psychic development and mediumship at the time, and I just kept hearing, you need to write the book. You need to write the book. And I'm like, I'm writing the book. What are you talking about? They're like, oh, no, you need to write another book. I'm like, about what? They're like, oh, about what you do. So your students have like a handbook and a guidebook to take with you. So that was the first one that came out, was A Night on the Other Side, which teaches people how to meditate properly, how to clear your house, how to use crystals, those types of things. And then, I kept hearing from the other side that I needed to start a relationship program, because everybody that comes to you when you first start doing this kind of stuff wants to know about their relationships. Okay. So I started a Facebook group for relationships. Immediately got flooded with like thousands and thousands of people. So then I hear you need to film videos about relationships. I'm like, videos about relationships? Okay. So I write out the stuff for 10 different videos on marriage, divorce, blended families, retirement, aging parents, all this stuff. And I literally get a professional film company to film all this stuff for me, right? And now I'm like, now what do I do with it? I don't know. Am I supposed to sell this on my website? Put this in I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this, right? Within 6 months, I hear, you have to start a program to help these people. I'm like, what? Sure enough, they bring you everything you need. It took me a year and a half to get the program up and running. But now all these videos that I made popped right into my program. I was able to put the program together divinely with the angels in weeks. And it's a 7-week online program I geared it towards helping people that were getting divorced or separated or having trouble in their relationships. But what I realized after putting hundreds of people through this program and working with only one person, not couples, I don't do couples, one person makes or break any situation in life, every one of these people had to learn the same 5 lessons. Every one of them. And everything's a relationship. You're in a relationship with your friends, your family, your coworkers, your employers, your customers. You're in a relationship with everyone. So basically what I do is I teach them how energy works and how energy affects everything. And when you raise your vibration, that law of attraction kicks in. Anything and everything that's supposed to be yours comes to you. And to balance your energy so that you can maintain that, that's the trick in life, because it's very difficult to balance your energy. We talked about that a little bit before we started the show. And that's the secret to law of attraction that people don't teach, because everything in the universe has to stay in balance. So if you raise your vibration and things start coming in and you don't balance it, you crash. That's the balance. And you lose everything that you brought in. So if you can raise your vibration and balance it and keep it at that level, everything will always come to you. It's like Christmas all the time. So I wrote the book so people could understand what it is I've learned from all these people going through my program.
Something I think you've said before is that nothing in the world that happens is random. So how does that perspective sit with somebody that might be blindsided by a breakup, find out the partner's having an affair, or the partner suddenly asks for a divorce. Is that sort of saying that was predestined? Is that
So every relationship isn't meant to last forever, first of all. And the universe wants you to think you have choices,
Yeah.
right? So, but the choices that they give you, you're going to have door 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
So you go through door 1, you get married, you have a couple kids, you get divorced. Where are you going to be? In front of door 1, 2, and 3. Most people are creatures of habit. What do? They take door 1 again. They go through it. They get married. They get divorced,
Yeah.
right? They're going to be in front of door 1, 2, and 3. Well, if you learn the lesson you were supposed to learn, you're not going to take door 1 again. You're going to take door 2 or door 3. You may still get married, have more children, and get divorced, but it's not going to be for the reason that the other 2 happened. Everything happens for a reason, and the relationship is either karmic or a soulmate or a twin flame. And twin flame is extremely rare. People think everybody's got a twin flame. They do not. They are extremely rare. But there's millions of soulmates, millions of karmic relationships out there. So whatever you wrote into your plan, you come through every lifetime with the same soul group of people. So most of those people, you either owe a karmic debt to, or they owe a karmic debt to you. Now, karmic debts are created in the lifetime you're in. If you do something to someone, you don't have any remorse and you don't make amends, you owe them a karmic debt in the next life.
Okay.
And it's never a bad thing, because everything that ever happens to you is always for your highest and best. And doesn't matter how tragic it is that you're going through. Maybe your house is burning to the ground, right? Oh my God, I'm losing everything. 10 years later, look back and say, oh my God, if that house hadn't burned to the ground, I wouldn't be living in this nice mansion out here in, California somewhere, right? I wouldn't have met this person. I wouldn't have saved this person's life. Who knows what you're destined to do, right?
Mm.
Everything is happening for your highest and best at all times. You're in a marriage, something happens, the person cheats on you. What's the first thing everybody thinks? What did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. It's got nothing to do with you. They're not cheating on you because they don't love you. No one gets in a marriage and says, oh, I think I'm going to cheat on her, so she thinks I don't love her. That's just not how it works. Okay? They love you very much. It's got nothing to do with you. Maybe they were cheated on in a past life and they needed to feel what it feels like in this lifetime. Maybe they weren't able to experience true love or how much you actually mean to them until that opportunity of possibly losing that relationship happens. Or maybe you're just not meant to be together, because every relationship is not meant to last a lifetime. If it's a karmic relationship, it never quite feels right. Okay. You're always looking for red flags. You're always looking, for that shoe to drop. And as soon as one or the other learns the lesson, it ends immediately. It's like you wake up one morning and say, why is this person in my life anymore? I don't need this. That's a karmic relationship. A soulmate relationship, you're also meant to either learn something or teach something to the other person. But if you've written it into your soul plan that it doesn't end, then it doesn't have to. And a soulmate relationship always feels really good, like an old pair of shoes. It's meant to give you love and comfort while you're learning that lesson or teaching that lesson. Okay. And those can last a lifetime if it's a soulmate. They don't have to, depending on what you put in your plan, but they can. And that's the difference. So everything that happens, it is happening for a reason. It's not random. And if you follow the breadcrumbs back through your life, that's why they say hindsight is 20/20. You can see how everything in your life has been connected, and one thing brought you to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and brought you to where you are right now. And you are always right where you are supposed to be. Always. You are always perfectly where you're supposed to be, and we are always imperfectly perfect. And that's lesson number 1. Self-worth. Love yourself. Love yourself first. You're unique. You're the only one in this entire universe, and you're here for a reason.
I wanted to ask about that, about self-worth and self-love. I think it does feel like it's one of the lessons that we aren't necessarily taught as youngsters, whether it be at school or in our families, in many families anyway, that about self-worth is almost one of the hardest lessons. And yeah, I wondered how do you help people?
And that's the case, that's not the case for everyone. A lot of people are born with plenty of self-worth. Okay, they had wonderful parents, glowing parents that taught them that, you're the most special thing in the world. You're like a little cupcake. Okay. And you have other people like us that, we were treated like a piece of trash. So we had no self worth. And again, it's something that is learned. Obviously, if you knew it, you wouldn't have to learn it,
Yeah.
right? And you have to learn it because if you don't put yourself first, and society would like you to think that that's selfish and narcissistic, it is not. It is where everything else comes from. You have to learn to put yourself first. If you do not, you will not be here to help anybody else, will you? You won't. You won't have the money to do it. You won't have the health to do it. You just won't be here to help anybody else. So, in order to help everyone else, which we're all here to help each other, you have to put yourself first. You don't go to work every week and make $300 and give $300 away so you have nothing left for yourself. You take care of yourself first, and you've got something else to help others, and that's what you do.
So someone's sitting here now and listening and thinking, I'm always the one that loves more, gives more, and gets and ends up getting hurt. What is the key love lesson that they should face first?
So no one can hurt you.
Okay.
No one can hurt you. No one has that power. I can't hurt you. I can't make you feel anything. That's all on you. And it's your perspective. Okay. Somebody tells me that I'm ugly. They don't like my hair. That's okay. That's your problem. That's not my problem. I like me. I like my hair. I don't think I'm ugly. I'm good. No one has that power unless you give it away. And again, that gets back to your self-worth. So we're all in situations where we love someone and something happens and the relationship ends. And, I have 3 beautiful children. I'm not with their father. I have not been with their father in 35 years. We were only together for 10 years. It was a karmic relationship, clearly, because as soon as my lesson was learned, which was self-worth, that it ended immediately. He had lots of other issues, problems, drinking, cheating, all of that's been done to me, drugs, all of that was done to me. And loving someone and hurting because we choose to hurt is the price of loving someone. It is always better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. Think about that feeling of being in love. That is the highest vibration there is. When you get to the other side, that's what you feel all the time. It's like walking on air, being in love. It's just pure love, agave love. So, okay, it hurt. It's gone. I lost it. Can I find it again? Maybe, maybe not. But you know what? I love myself that much. I'm grateful that I have the 3 children that I wouldn't have had with someone else. Okay, maybe that's the karmic relationship, that it was just to give me those 3 children. They're the reason that I came back on earth, because without them, I would not have come back here, I can tell you right now. I was going through my life movie saying, I'm not coming back for my family. I'm not coming back for my friends. I'm not coming back for my husband, and then I remembered I had 2 children at the time. They were not in my life movie for some reason. And I laugh now because I'm like, you guys knew I was coming back. Who are you kidding? But I did come back for my children because they are my heart. They truly are. They're the reason that I came here.
So somebody asks you out on a date now, and you meet the person in a bar or a restaurant or on a walk or whatever. Can you tell very quickly what sort of relationship is going to manifest?
I can. Most people can't, but I can.
What do you do with that? Do you think, okay, this isn't going to work? Immediately, you sort of say this is not going to work. It's not going to work, or do you play it out? Or
I only know what they allow me to know. Okay. I had the fortune or misfortune, however you'd like to look at it, of meeting my twin flame.
Okay.
And that was the reason that my abilities opened up the way they did. And that is part of a twin flame relationship. When you meet, it's very passionate, very sexual, very brief.
Yeah.
Okay. It was only a few months, but that's been 11 years and it's still like it was yesterday, because nothing else will ever compare to that, unfortunately. So you have to learn how to settle in life, which I've agreed to settle in life, but the universe has decided that that's not going to happen for me either. So it's just how it is. It's not always up to us. Everything I met somebody once, great story I love to tell, met a guy for a drink at the bar, and something came on the TV politically, and we started discussing that, and I got into what I do. And as soon as I mentioned that I was a medium as well, oh, I gotta go. I gotta go pick up my son. I'm like, oh, that's fine. He was like halfway into one drink, and the bartender laughed. He goes, "That was quick." I'm like, not a problem. I'm good with it. Now at the end of the bar, all of a sudden this guy says to me, "Excuse me." He goes, "I didn't mean to overhear your conversation, but did I hear you say that you were a medium?" I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "Come on down, we'll talk." He's, "Well, I'm married." I'm like, "Well, I'm not gonna bite you." So he comes down. I'm like, it happened to be at a hotel bar, and I'm like, "Do you live in the area?" Or he goes, "No, I'm staying here. I live down in like Miami." He goes, "My best friend just died." He goes, "And I'm here for the funeral, and I'm devastated because I didn't get to see him and say goodbye." And my guides are really good. My gatekeeper is the guy on the other side that does not let souls come through to me unless I'm working. Now, there had been someone standing behind this guy the entire time at the other end of the bar. And when he came over to me, I don't usually do this if I'm not working, but I knew he was in a lot of grief, and I could help him. So I asked him, I said, "Would you like me to describe the gentleman who's been standing next to you this entire time while you were over there having a drink?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I described him. He goes, "Oh," he starts busting out in tears. He goes, "Oh my God, that's my friend." I said, I facilitated a conversation between the two of them. And when we were done, he's like, "Thank you so much." He goes, I just didn't get the chance to say goodbye to him, and it was just killing me. And he goes, "Can I give you a hug before I leave?" I'm like, "Sure." But that was the reason that I was there. So, I always go with the flow. The universe knows where I'm supposed to be, and it always puts me where I'm supposed to be.
Well, it was an amazing experience. So are you, and I think you've already answered this, but if the opportunity, if you had the choice, you would have had that twin flame short relationship that you had, even knowing that was going to be the peak, and it wasn't going to, rather than not have it at all, and okay, well, I'm not going to have that, but
He
I'm
was
going to have
he was the reason my abilities opened. How can I
of course,
not
yeah.
be grateful? How can I not be grateful? I thank him constantly. I'm very grateful. He visits once in a while. His soul visits, not as often as he used to, and that's okay. And your soul can visit. You don't have to be on the other side for your soul to visit. A lot of times when people are asleep at night, they'll have a visit, and there's a difference between a dream and a visit. If it feels like it's real, you wake up right away and you remember everything, that is a soul visit. That's not a dream. So let's say you have a relative that you haven't talked to in years. They live kind of far away, and something's going to happen with another one of your siblings or a parent, and you think you're having a dream that night, but it feels real, and they tell you something and you wake up right away and you remember it all. That's their soul visiting you. Same thing from the other side. So you have the 3D here that we live in. 5D is that lowest level of heaven where a lot of them are still residing. And 4D is that dream state in the middle, that marshmallow. So if you're not meditating during the day and you're not connected to be able to get messages from them, the only thing they can do is lower their vibration. And when you go to sleep at night, your vibration actually comes up because most of your soul leaves your body. So you're in that 4D dream state. And that's where you can meet and get those messages.
Is there anything to be feared from somebody potentially bringing in? So if you've had a relationship in your life that it's been a bad relationship, a toxic relationship, a damaging relationship, and that person passes, is there a fear that their negative energy can come back in the same way?
So understand, everyone has to come here to play the villain at some point, right?
Yep.
A toxic relationship, from whose perspective? Yours, not necessarily theirs, right? Everything that happened for a reason. Maybe it was to teach you self-worth. There's a reason. You have to ask yourself, why is this happening? What am I supposed to be learning, or what am I supposed to be teaching? They're in love on the other side. They're not living in hate. They've only come through. My father, when he was here, was a monster. Okay, he came through to play the villain. And when I watched my mom die, and I watched her soul leave her body, and she immediately went to my father on the other side. And I was, even everything that I know, I was still sitting there in shock, going, "Are you kidding me?" And he thanked her for having come through with him in this lifetime to allow him to learn what he needed to learn. So you're an actor in a play. They're all actors in a play. They're on the other side. They did what they were supposed to do. You don't remember it because you're here, but trust me, before you came here, you wrote that part of the play with that person for them to play that part. So thank them for whatever the part was. I wouldn't be who I was if my father wasn't the person that he was here. If he hadn't played that role, I would not be the person that I am.
Yeah.
Every experience you go through makes you who you are.
Sometimes it's hard, isn't it, at the time of living through what could be seen as a traumatic experience, to recognize that this is all part of a bigger.
It is all very, very difficult as you're going through it if you're only living in the 3D.
Yeah.
If you only,
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
about this. Think about watching a movie, okay? And you've got the actors that are in the movie. How difficult would it be for them if this was their life, not the movie,
Yeah.
right? And that's what we are. We are in a movie, but the movie is our life. So you have to understand that this is just a movie that you're playing in. It's not who you truly are, because that's your soul. And when you go back to the other side, you have all the experiences from all your lifetimes. It's just so different. It's just so different. And it's funny because, believe it or not, we are a collective here. Okay. Humans are a collective. And at the end of all of it, at the bottom and the base of all of it, we're all here for each other in some capacity. People forget that. We're all here to help each other in some capacity. Could be something minor, could be something major. But everyone that you interact with in your lifetime, we've all literally come here to help each other. Are there exceptions to that? Absolutely. There is good and evil. Just like everything in the universe has to stay in balance. The devil is real. And the devil can absolutely take hold of people. And I can tell you that every one of these mass shootings and things like that, that's someone that's their soul's been taken over by a devil. And I've had 2 students that got full possessions because they were not following the directions of the program properly. And when you're meditating, you are opening yourself up to the universe, to both good and evil. And if you have a good heart, you're a target. They're everywhere. They are everywhere. So again, before you open yourself up to the universe to meditate, you ask Archangel Michael to protect you. And he will protect you. I've done all kinds of stuff. I was doing consultant work for an author out of Canada at one point who was having me look at pictures he was taking for some paranormal books he was doing. And one of them happened to have been a sorcerer, and I had no idea. And even though Archangel Michael was protecting me, the sorcerer on the other side had a lot of power. Had I known, I would have done a salt circle. The power of the devil is almost as strong as God's. God will always win. God will always protect you. You've got to ask.
Yeah.
It's that simple. But the devil is real. And yeah, if somebody is doing something that seems to be demonic and they seem like they're possessed by a demon, they sure probably are, because there's a lot of it going around. And there's a lot of people nowadays that are atheists. Well, guess what? They can walk right in and take your soul over that way because you don't believe in God. God is the only thing that has the power to stop a demon or the devil. It's that simple. Even pagans. They worship the earth. Wonderful. But you don't worship God. You don't believe in God. I've had quite a few pagans in the past that have contacted me because they had somehow brought home some type of demonic spirit or jinn. And every time they tried something with their pagan witchcraft, it was getting more and more pissed off. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. There's only one God. Doesn't matter what you call it. There is only one. And that is all powerful.
Mm. It is it's interesting you said it's so often when an events happen, whether it be a shooting or a killing or whatever, the neighbours are interviewed, and invariably they'll always sort of say, "Gosh, but he was such a quiet person. I could never have imagined it. He was such a quiet, peaceful person." And like I say, it's almost as if the person that they're talking about has been taken over by something else. And exactly as you're saying,
And I
they have.
believe they are. I don't believe you can take another person's life without being demonically
Yeah.
possessed. And I can tell you that the only people that I cannot bring through that have passed to the other side are people that have taken someone else's life and have no remorse. God is a forgiving God. If something happened and you were taken over demonically and you took someone else's life and you were able to get that spirit out of you and you have remorse for that killing, then yeah, God is a forgiving God. But when you've been taken over demonically and you don't have that remorse, you go to hell. And those are the only people that I know that are in hell. There are, there's pedophiles and rapists and everything else that are on the other side that I've brought through. They're not as evolved as far as the souls go, from what I've determined, from what I've brought through. Most of them aren't as evolved. But again, somebody's got to come through as that villain.
Yeah, the balance thing.
Exactly.
So you said before, and you said sort of words to that effect during our conversation, that we're all like magnets, and that our vibration determines who and what we attract. So in practical terms, are there things that we can do to raise our vibration to attract love, intimacy, the relationship that we want? I'm hoping you're going to say yes.
Stay out of the drama with social media. That's number
Okay.
one. Turn off your news. Number two. So the things that raise your vibration, the biggest and fastest thing that you can do is meditate.
Okay.
And I recommend only 20 minutes because it's going to take you 18 or 19 minutes to connect to your soul when you first start out. More than that, you'll be ungrounded, but 2 to 3 times a day, 20 minutes. Laughter. Laughter raises your vibration. Love raises your vibration. And people need to learn how to pay attention to the energy around them. Everyone's walked into a funeral, right? And they felt that low vibration in there. Everybody's all, depressed and crying. And everybody's walked into a wedding, right? Or birthday party and felt that high vibration. Pay attention. That, when you talk about vibration, frequency, they're just different names for the same thing. Okay. And everybody that's in your life is on that same energetic thread that you're on. It's like a radio station. You can't get the radio station in unless you're on the same frequency, right? Same thing in life. Everybody that's in your life right now is on the same frequency as you. So if you're not happy with the people that are in your life, raise your vibration. And what happens is those people drop off almost immediately, and new people get pulled in that are on your vibration. So the reality is there's this whole conspiracy going on the other side. And the whole conspiracy is to help you, to do everything they can to bring you everything you want in this world. Angels are real. Angels are a completely separate race. They were never human. Their entire job is to help us. But there is a rule. There's rules there, just like there's rules here. And their rule is if you don't ask, they can't help. Okay? You have to ask. If you lost something, ask St. Anthony to help you find it. I guarantee you it'll show up. They're here to help you. I get the first parking space no matter where I go. Busy mall, Christmas time, doesn't matter. Just ask an angel to help you get that parking space and you'll get that front spot every time. And they're always around you to give you, they're always trying. It's like a two-way mirror, right? It's like they can see you, they can hear you, they can even touch you, but they're banging on the glass saying, I'm here, can't you see me? People are oblivious. They got blinders on going through their little life, right? Anything that's out of the ordinary that happens to you happens for a reason. There is a message there. You have to find what the message is. And the easiest way to do that is just go on and ask, the internet, what is the spiritual meaning of blah, blah, blah? And you'll end up with 3 or 4 meanings. Well, the one that resonates with you is the meaning that there is there for you. I have a giant alligator turtle bigger than my steering wheel. And this is the third time he has shown up on my property. Last year, he showed up twice within a week, and he showed up again the other day. And when I looked it up, the message fit beautifully because I'm in the middle of actually reworking my entire relationship mastery program, putting it on a different platform that will run everything better so that it's a little bit smoother. And, I've hired techies to do this because it took me a year and a half. I'm not a real good tech person. And it's a little frustrating because, they're two different companies and A is not working with B and, the holidays got in the middle and it's frustrating. I have to have patience. There's not much I can do about it. And the message of the alligator turtle basically was that what I'm aggressively working on is going to be working out amazing, but I have to have the patience and let people do their piece because I have no control over it. So there's always a message there if you look at it.
Yeah, and it's very interesting what you said about being lost in social media and doom scrolling and everything else. And I do wonder what that's doing, particularly to our young people, teenagers, where they spend it can be 7, 8, 10 hours a day on a device, and thinking that they're connecting with people, but then in real life connections, they're really probably lonelier than they've been before.
They're isolating
They are.
themselves. They're not learning things, they're not outside, playing basketball or volleyball or dodgeball or they're not out in nature. They're not volunteering their time to do things like pick up garbage or clean up a park or, fix up a cemetery. They're not learning how to play a guitar or a musical instrument or teaching themselves another language. They're not doing anything like that. They could be listening to audiobooks or reading books and learning things instead of sitting there on social media forever. And I believe they're starting to pass laws where you can't have a social media account unless you're under 16 or something. I think
Yes,
that is
Australia.
going through
Yeah,
right now.
Australia just brought
Yeah,
that
I
in.
think in the United States as well, it was put
Yeah.
through, which I think is a wonderful thing. Absolutely. Encourage face-to-face connections. It's interesting because, they call them the keyboard warriors, right? What people won't say to you behind the screen, right? When they don't know you, and there's no repercussion for them because they don't know you, versus what they would say to you to your face. Big difference. Big difference.
So if you, and I know you deal with individuals as opposed to couples, but if a couple's stuck in what you might recognize as low vibration patterns, so there's some resentment, there's arguments, there's no sex anymore. Can you shift the energy?
Have one of them contact me. So there's reasons.
Yeah.
So the reason I don't work with couples is this. First of all, they each have their own perspective.
Yep.
Okay. There's always a leader and always a follower in every relationship. The leader is the one that always contacts me. Okay. Just how it works energetically. But when you're working with two different people and they don't like what you have to say, suddenly they think that you're siding with the other one. Okay, so it's 2 against 1, and everything falls apart quickly from there. I found that couples counseling very rarely works with anything. Now, mind you, it only takes one person to make or break any relationship because for every action, there's an equal or greater reaction. When you do something differently, the other person has no choice but to do something differently. That's how it works, right? So there's many, many tools that I give them. And when they start learning how the energy works, everything starts to shift and change. Now, I don't allow the other person to do the program and to get into the program, only the person that I'm working with. But once I'm done with the program, I encourage them to help their spouse and teach them what they've learned from me. And I have people now that teach their children. They take videos of themselves teaching their children the things that they learned from me, and it's absolutely amazing. So it's generational at this point.
So do you find, are we sharing our energy when we're intimate with another person?
Oh, absolutely. You're combining your energy and you take a piece of that energy with you. I mean, everybody, people don't understand what a sexual relationship entails. Not only do you have to worry about STDs, but the reality is it's your energy. You take and you give that energy, and that's a little piece of energy that's there forever. It's an energetic connection.
So if I'm being intimate with my partner and I don't know, I've had a dozen other partners, am I bringing the energy of those past relationships to the new
You always
Okay.
are. You always are. It doesn't matter whether it's on a small scale or a large scale, but you're always bringing a little bit of that energy.
Mm.
Think about it. Somebody that's been cheated on, right? And they know they've been cheated on, and then they go sleep with that person again, and they're like, "Oh, where did he learn that?" Right?
Yes, yes. It's so, well, yeah, we've been
Are you going to say,
together
"Oh,
10
thank you
years,
for
and what are you
teaching me
still
that"?
doing
Well,
that?
wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah.
But yeah, you take a little bit of that energy with you everywhere you go, and it makes you who you are. That's the reality of it. But be careful who you're sharing your energy with,
No.
because other people's energy can bring you down. Instead of raising your vibration, they can lower your vibration, and that's not what you want.
Mm. If someone's lost their partner, and I mean their partner's died, and they obviously they're in grief, they're grieving, and they wonder if they'll ever find another partner or love again. What what would our and I've always struggled with this. I always thought if my wife ever dies, I'm never going to be with anybody else. That was it. It was one and done. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but I
That's
just
up to you.
what when the
So
partner
that's up
that's
to
died
you.
looks
If you
back,
want to,
when the partner that's died looks back from the fifth dimension and sees you with another person, what what are they feeling?
they're happy for you. They don't want you to be
Okay.
alone. People are, we're only selfish here.
Mm.
We're not selfish on the other side. We're selfless on the other side. We don't have a body.
Yeah.
Okay? We have a heart, we have a soul, and we want what's best for the people that we love and care about. And if someone being with you is best for you, then that's what they want for you. They're not jealous. There's no jealousy there. It's just love. And when you love someone, right, you want what's best for that person, whatever that is. Doesn't matter who it is. If you love someone, you want what's best for that person. Let's say it was your own parents, right? And one of your parents passed away and the other one was, lonely all the time and, always by themselves. You want the best for your parent, right? You want them to maybe meet somebody that would make them smile again and make them happy again, right? But it's the universe is interesting because you have to do the work to get the reward. So you can't sit there at home on your couch all the time saying, "Oh, I wish I had somebody in my life. Oh, I wish I could meet somebody. Oh, I wish the universe would bring me somebody." It's not going to be the UPS guy or the mailman. You got to do your part and go out. It's like looking for a job, right? Can't say, "Oh, I wish I had this job. I wish I could get this job." It's not going to fall in your lap. You got to go through the want ads. And when you go through the want ads, the universe will make sure that you're finding the one you want. And that's how it works. You do the work, you ask the universe, and they will bring you the reward.
Do you find that when you're working with men and working with women, do you find that they have a very different approach, or is it very much on the individual doing?
So men and women are very, very
Okay.
different. Okay, we are not the same. We're not meant to be the
Mm.
same. We are meant to complement each
Mhm.
other. Okay, women are very analytical. You have to get into their brain before you can get into their heart. It's that simple. And men are very visual. Men want to play the movie out first before they get where they're going. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with either of those two things. We just have to both understand that the other person does not work the same way we do, and they're not supposed to.
Mm.
So I always tell all my clients, whether it's a male or a female, if you're walking around your house in dirty, torn shorts and dirty, torn t-shirts, and you look like crap, go outside and burn them. You're wearing pajamas to bed every night, go outside and burn them. That's not what they're for.
Do you because you've said that a lot of the overarching narrative of our life is driven by our higher purpose, and that we can only decide how we feel about things and how we react to things. Do you make plans for the future? Do you have a sort of 10-year plan, or are you very much what's going to
Oh,
happen?
absolutely. And I encourage all of my students to set your intentions.
Okay.
Your intentions are constantly going to be changing, but every new moon, I have all my clients write all of their intentions in their journal. And on the full moon, you write them down again, you take them out, and you burn them under the full moon and ask the universe to help you have these things come to fruition. And I'll tell you, for a while there, I was running out of things. Everything I asked for, they kept bringing me. So you have to keep on. What else do I want? What else would I like to have? What else do I want to see? Um, so yeah, when you learn how to work with the universe and work with the angels, they're constantly going to be bringing you the things that you want. And understand this is where patience comes in. This is one of the other lessons we all have to learn, because we live in a society of instant gratification. Everybody wants everything now, and it doesn't work that way. It will come to you in the time that it's supposed to come. So if you're asking, let's say you're asking the universe for a new house, and every month you're asking the universe for a new house. Well, guess what? At some point in time, you're going to get that new house. It may not be tomorrow, it may not be next week, but sometimes when you least expect it, guess what? There's a new house that just came up on the market. I absolutely love it. And it's within our price range, and somebody wants to buy ours. So there you go.
So what are your intentions for the next 5 years?
Mine, I'm looking to hopefully buy a new house, maybe move to a different area. I'm not sure. Get an RV and spend more time with my kids and my grandkids up north. Do a little bit more traveling for pleasure. Yeah, and take my dog with me. Yeah, they're not crazy. They're not out of control. They're just things that are, still on my list, that when the time is right, it will happen.
And do you find it easy to, and these might be the wrong words, sort of disconnect from everything to find that balance? We sort of, right at the beginning, we sort of said about trying to find that balance and harmony. Do you find that easy to do?
I do. I like to do jigsaw puzzles and crossword type things, and meditate. So I probably meditate more than most people, but that's all part of the work as well. I can connect in seconds. So I do have quite a few clients, that I've had for a few years that have me on speed dial, and but for me, it really helps me get out of what's happening, and it's a recommendation for my students as well. You're having a tough day at work, something's going on you don't like, you can take 5 or 10 minutes to go take a bathroom break. Take a 5 or 10 minute meditation break, and it will get you out of your head. It will get you connected again. It will balance your energy back out, and the difference is just amazing.
So, something I have to say, and you might think this is very odd, but just over your right shoulder, there's dream catchers, sort of feathers that sort of hanging down. So for the first 45 minutes we were talking, the feathers were moving all the time, and then it almost felt like there was something or somebody moving them, and then they stopped.
It's probably the air conditioning system that keeps going.
So yes, that's my spirit angel.
There's nobody around me at the moment. There's a few around you, but there's no one around me at the moment.
Fine. Okay. Well, so my final question, and I could ask another 100, but my final question, it would be, so when you're celebrating your 80th birthday and people are talking about you and sharing their thoughts about you, what do you hope people will be saying?
It's funny because I never had a birthday party my whole life until my 60th birthday. And I threw myself a 60th birthday party. All my children were here, my grandchildren, my friends from far away. And it doesn't really matter to me what they say about me. It's more what I can say about them.
Yeah.
How loving and caring they are, and how they've gone out of their way for me. Um, if I can make a positive dent in someone's life, I'm grateful. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Do I touch enough people? I never seem to feel like I do. That's one of my intentions that I always write in my book, to be able to help more people. Um, it's hard to help the masses. There's a lot of masses. There's 8 million, 8 billion people now. 8
Wow.
billion people. That's a lot of souls. That's a lot of souls. But as my girlfriend keeps telling me, it's like a pebble in a pond. And every soul that you meet and every soul that you help touches the next one and the next one and the next one. And that's how it works. And it spreads like a good virus.
Mm. Yeah, I think that as I get, well, as we all get older, as I get older, I always think about sometimes those tiniest interactions we have during the day. Maybe it's somebody on the checkout at this grocery store or somebody behind me in the car. I've let them in front of me. You never know what massive impact that tiny little gesture. That person might be feeling terribly depressed, terribly sad, and somebody's, oh, but that guy let me in front of me at the grocery store. He was nice to me for a few seconds, and you've no idea how big an impact those tiny. I always thought you had to make the big grand gesture and really change things massively. But I think as I get older, not necessarily wiser, but as I get older, I think, God, sometimes those tiny little, because they mean a lot to me. There's tiny interactions where somebody lets me in front of them, or I've get to the coffee store and I've forgotten my wallet, and it's, oh, I'll buy the coffee. It's amazing how much those tiny little events for you.
Well, and when you think about how many people in this world are very
Yeah,
isolated, they live by themselves, they don't have family around
yeah,
them. Sometimes that little gesture of saying hi, you know, um, it's kind of like as people get older, there's less and less physical
yeah,
contact. And I had a really difficult upbringing in childhood, and I remember when I was about 30, I told my parents, and they hadn't been together for years. They were divorced when I was 10, and but individually, I told them each that I loved them because they had never told me that ever, and I gave them a hug, each one of them, and I told them that I don't, I love you. I don't hold you accountable for. I don't hate you for anything that happened in my life, and I love you. I want you to know that. And both of them just busted out and broke down in tears. No one, they don't have any physical contact. No one gives them hugs. And for then ever after, every time I saw them, I told them that I loved them and gave them a hug. And I do that with my children. I don't get off the phone without telling them how much I love them. And it's very important that you do that to the people that are in your, in your life.
it is, because you don't know when you're going to get a chance to do that again. So no,
Yeah,
I love the power of a hug. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much for not just for today, but for everything you do. I think you're a fascinating person. You've made so much of your life. Yeah, it's inspiring.
I'm grateful. I'm just grateful. And that's one of the biggest keys in life is be grateful. Because you know what? There's always somebody else that has it worse than you. Be grateful. I'm very grateful.
Thank you.
Thank you.